Hi, this is Bryan Spiegelberg from chemistry. As you probably know, one of the things that's difficult, one of the many things that's difficult in this sort of virtual environment are hands-on things, hands-on experiences. For example, science labs. And so this summer session 2, I'm teaching a general chemistry lab, and I'm trying out a platform that's kind of a virtual reality chemistry lab. It's called Beyond Labs. You can see the title there. It's got a Z at the end. Really easy to find if you just Google search that. It might be beyondlabs.com. I've looked at the chemistry, which is basically general chemistry. There's organic chemistry, there's biology, there's physics. My take-home point here is that my experience is relatively limited. We're only about halfway through the second summer session where I'm using it, so I don't have good feedback from the students, things like that. But my take-home point for you is that I recommend that if this is something that you're thinking about, that you take a look at it. I think that it is something that has some significant potential. One thing I like about it is that it's relatively cheap for the students. It's about 25 bucks. I think it's 25 bucks for a semester. And so it's not free, but it's something that I don't mind asking the students to pay for. It's relatively flexible as far as I'm concerned. There's a lot that I can do with it. I can see there's a lot of labs. I've used it quite a bit already this semester. There's a big community, so there's people. There's a forum online where people are giving ideas back and forth, because you can use these labs either with the canned labs that they've got, or you can make your own. Another thing I like about it is the responsiveness of the company themselves. There's been some issues, some things I couldn't quite figure out. I shoot them an email or post something on their forum, and they get right back to me. So I think that it's a good company. It's a solid product, definitely worth looking out, taking a look at. So let me just show you a little bit about what it is. I'm just going to open the chemistry one, and the biology and the physics are probably going to be different. But the idea is that there are several rooms here that they've built. There's titrations, calorimetry, a gases lab, quantum stuff, etc. And within those labs, there's multiple things that you can do. So I'm going to look at the titration lab, because that's something that we're doing this week. And so say I want to do a titration of a weak acid with a strong base. I can click on this, and I go into this lab, basically, this virtual reality lab. And there's a lot of things that I can do here. I can, if I need to make an unknown, or if I need to make a sample, I can use a scale. And there's chemicals back here. I can go back into the chemical stock room, and I can get different chemicals out, and I can weigh them out. I can pour my stuff. I think this burette is already filled, but if I needed to, I could fill the burette. This is already set up. It's kind of a canned lab, so they set it up with acetic acid in there. We're titrating in sodium hydroxide. And so I can turn this, and I'll just show you that there's multiple ways that I can collect data. So I can ask the students to read a burette, or I can set it up so that the data is collected itself, much as we would do if we had a pH meter connected to a computer, for example. And by the way, they get this, and you see there's an indicator in there, so it turned the indicator to when it reached the endpoint. They show this graph, but one thing I like about it is that you can actually download these data into an Excel spreadsheet or something like that. So it's a very flexible thing. It gets students to actually be working with things like weighing stuff out in a virtual reality way, but they're also recording data. And so it does have a lot of the things that I would like to see from an actual lab. Like I kind of alluded to, there are some canned labs. There's quite a few different experiments. Some of these are with the titration lab, some are with the quantum lab, some are with the inorganic lab, there's a gases lab. There's a whole bunch of labs that they've sort of written out. Now, I don't actually use those labs, so there's this weak acid, strong base, titrations. I don't use these labs, I use my own. But what I do use is they've got these instructions in here, and I just copy and paste those. I do give them attribution in my labs, but I copy and paste those into my lab manuals or my lab report forms, because it gives some instructions as to what the students should do, so they don't have to just figure things out. It tells them exactly how to get where, how to get to the lab book, how to record the data. I can always change that before I send them out their lab manuals, but I don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. I can if I want to, and in fact I did develop a lab for the gases lab because I didn't see what I wanted there, so I just used the lab itself and made a new lab. So again, I think that there's a lot that's here. I don't know, it's not perfect. It would much prefer to be in person, but they are recording data, they're collecting data, they're using the equipment, they're seeing the equipment, they're seeing how the data are collected so that it makes more sense when they go to analyze it. And again, relatively cheap, 25 bucks. If you only want to use it for half the semester, I wouldn't feel too bad about it. Lots of good feedback from them, and it's still growing. I think it's a young sort of company and it's based in Utah. I think University of Utah, perhaps BYU, and it seems like a good company. They've been very responsive. So if you have any questions about that, reach out to me, reach out to them. I recommend that you download it, get the free trial, and take a look at it.